She had 3 seconds. 3 seconds to decide if a stranger's life was worth risking everything she'd fought to protect. 3 seconds before the poison reached his lips. Her name was Margaret Washington, a black waitress in Manhattan's most exclusive dining establishment. On that winter evening, she wasn't supposed to see what she saw. She wasn't supposed to act. People like her survive by staying invisible, by keeping their heads down, by never making waves. But sometimes staying silent means becoming complicit. Margaret made a choice. She knocked a wine glass from a billionaire's hand, and in doing so, she became the one witness that powerful men would do anything to silence. This is her story, a story about what happens when an invisible woman refuses to disappear, about the price of courage when you have everything to lose, about 3 seconds that exposed a murder conspiracy and transformed a life. By the end, you'll understand why invisibility isn't safety. It's just another kind of cage. Stay with me. This is a story you won't forget. Welcome to Jossey Stories. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what you think. Let me tell you about the night Margaret Washington stopped being invisible. Margaret's alarm screamed at 4:47 a.m. In the darkness of her cramped Washington Heights bedroom, she silenced it with practiced precision. No time for exhaustion. No room for dreams. In the next room, her grandmother's breathing rattled, diabetes, high blood pressure, medications that cost more than groceries. Down the hall, 16-year-old DeAndre slept with his algebra textbook still open on his chest. Her whole world, in 900 square feet of peeling paint and broken promises. By 6:30, she stood in Thornhill Manor's service entrance, Manhattan's most exclusive private dining club, where crystal chandeliers cost more than she'd earn in 5 years, where silence was golden and invisibility was mandatory. "Margaret, you're on the library room tonight," her manager announced. Marcus Luther's private party. Billionaire. Tech empire. Zero tolerance for mistakes. She nodded. 5 years at Thornhill had taught her the rules. Move like smoke. Anticipate needs before they're spoken. Absorb insults without flinching. Be furniture with a pulse. In her locker, hidden behind spare uniforms, was a brochure for John Jay College. Criminal justice degree. Full-time tuition, $28,000 yearly. In her savings account, $1,847. She touched it like a prayer, then closed the locker. Dreams were dangerous. Visibility was deadly. She'd learned that lesson when she reported harassment 2 years ago, fired within a week while he got promoted. Tonight would be different, she told herself. Tonight, she'd stay invisible. She had no idea she had 3 hours before everything shattered. The library room glowed amber. Mahogany panels, leather chairs, a fireplace crackling with orchestrated warmth. Margaret poured water with invisible hands, her movements choreographed to perfection. Marcus Luther sat at the head of the table. 42, graying temples, eyes that calculated the worth of everything, including her. Self-made, they said. Ruthless, others whispered. Alone, Margaret observed. 3 other men arrived. Vincent Ashford, silver-haired and serpent-smooth, led the group. Board members, all smiles and sharp edges. They circled Marcus like wolves debating which throat to tear first. "The merger is beneficial for everyone," Vincent purred, swirling $2,000 wine. "Everyone except my 12,000 employees you'd liquidate," Marcus replied, ice in every syllable. Margaret refilled glasses, cleared plates, existed and didn't exist. But she noticed everything. Vincent checking his phone obsessively, the board members exchanging loaded glances, the false warmth that made her skin crawl. Then Vincent excused himself for a call. In the gilded mirror above the bar cart, Margaret watched him palm something from his jacket. A tiny vial, smaller than her thumb. His body blocked the table's view as his hand hovered over Marcus's wine glass. Time fractured. Clear liquid disappeared into dark red wine. Vincent slipped the vial back into his pocket, surveyed the room, returned to the table. "Shall we toast?" he suggested, all charm. "To profitable partnerships." Marcus reached for his glass. Margaret's heart detonated in her chest. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. His fingers closed around the stem. 1 second. Margaret's body moved before her mind could cage it. She lunged forward, water pitcher swinging wide. Her hip struck the table's corner, perfectly clumsy, devastatingly believable. Water cascaded. Her hand collided with Marcus's wrist. The wine glass flew from his grip, spinning through amber light, shattering against Persian rug worth more than her life. Deep red spread like arterial blood. "Oh God, Mr. Luther, I'm so sorry." Her voice pitched high, desperate, the perfect performance of incompetence. Water soaked his $5,000 suit. Wine-stained antique fabric. Marcus erupted. "Get out." The room froze. Vincent's face flickered. Shock, calculation, something murderous behind his smile. The board members stared. The manager materialized, mortified. "I'll get towels, fresh wine, aye." "Meeting's over," Marcus said, standing. His dark eyes locked on Margaret for 3 heartbeats. She saw something shift behind them. Recognition? Suspicion? Fury? "Don't be hard on her," Vincent soothed. "Accidents happen. We'll reschedule." "No." Everyone out. In the service hallway, Margaret's hands shook violently. Through the door, sharp voices. Then silence. Then footsteps. The manager appeared, rage radiating. "You're suspended. 2 weeks, no pay. I'll decide about termination." Margaret gathered her things with trembling fingers. As she exited through the service alley, she saw Vincent beside a black town car, phone pressed to his ear. His eyes found hers across the distance. For 3 seconds, they stared. Then his expression transformed, recognition laced with calculation. She ran. The termination call came at 8:47 a.m. Effective immediately. No severance. No references. Margaret stared at her phone, at her grandmother's medication bottles lined up like soldiers, at the rent notice. 12 days until eviction. Then the courier arrived. A package. Inside, a check for $50,000 and a typed note on bone-white stationery. "Thank you for your service. Forget what you saw. Consider this your retirement." Her hands turned ice. So it was real. She really had seen murder disguised as dinner. At the bank, the teller's expression went strange. "Ma'am, I need my manager." Within minutes, her account was frozen. Suspicious activity under federal investigation. Outside, a black SUV waited. Tinted windows. Engine running. It followed her home. That evening, DeAndre mentioned a man photographing his school. "Probably nothing," he shrugged. Margaret's blood crystallized. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Silence. Hang up. It happened 17 times that night. She Googled Marcus Luther. The headline made her stomach drop. Luther Industries CFO Vincent Ashford resigns abruptly, relocates to Switzerland. Posted 8 hours ago. At 3:17 a.m., her phone rang. "This is Child Protective Services. We've received concerning reports about your mental state and DeAndre's welfare. We're conducting a welfare check tomorrow." Before Margaret could respond, she heard it. Footsteps in the hallway outside her door. Slow. Deliberate. They stopped at her threshold. The doorknob turned. Margaret grabbed DeAndre, barricaded them in the bathroom, dialed 911 with shaking hands. Through the door, a man's voice. "Margaret? We just want to talk. Make this easier on everyone." Police found nothing. "No forced entry, ma'am. Are you certain someone was here?" They looked at her with pity and suspicion. Another paranoid woman. Another fired employee spiraling. As dawn broke, a sleek black car arrived. A man in a tailored suit approached, extending a business card. "Luther Industries, private security. Mr. Luther knows what you did. He knows you're in danger. He'd like to help." Within hours, Margaret, her grandmother, and DeAndre stood in Marcus Luther's Westchester estate. 20 acres, armed security, walls that promised safety she'd never known. Marcus met them in his study, sliding a forensic report across mahogany. Cardiac glycoside. "Would have stopped my heart in 4 hours," appeared completely natural. Vincent and 4 board members orchestrated everything. Margaret's voice cracked. "Why didn't you drink it? After I spilled it, they would have poured another." Marcus's eyes, dark, calculating, haunted, met hers. "Because I saw your face. For 3 seconds before you moved, I saw absolute terror. I've learned to trust terror more than I trust charm." Over the following weeks, as federal investigators unraveled the conspiracy, an unlikely alliance formed. 2 people from nothing, who'd survived by opposite strategies, He by hoarding power, she by surrendering visibility. You could have stayed silent, Marcus said one midnight, finding her researching obsessively in his library. And let a man die? What kind of person does that make me? Alive, safe, smart, small, Margaret whispered. It would have made me small. 2 years later, Margaret crossed the stage in cap and gown, receiving her diploma, Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, magna cum laude. In the audience, her grandmother wept. DeAndre, now 18 and thriving at preparatory school, cheered loudest. Beside them sat Marcus Luther, applauding the woman who'd saved more than his life. The federal trial had ended 8 months prior. All 5 conspirators convicted, 15 to 25 years each. Margaret had testified with steady voice, no longer invisible, no longer afraid. At the reception, Marcus found her. Corporate Ethics Alliance offered you a position. You accepted? Starting Monday. Whistleblower Protection Specialist. Margaret smiled. Turns out 3 seconds can become a career. I never properly thanked you. You paid for my education. That's not what I meant. Marcus's expression softened. Before you, I believed survival required isolation. That trust was weakness. You proved that courage still exists. Margaret looked at her diploma, at her family, at the future she'd nearly sacrificed. I spent years believing invisibility meant safety, that making myself small would protect what I loved. She thought of that November night, the poisoned wine, the impossible choice, the glass shattering across expensive carpet. Turns out invisibility was just another cage. And I was tired of being invisible. As she walked toward her family, she passed a young woman in catering uniform. Their eyes met, recognition between people who understand what it means to be unseen. Margaret nodded. Some people are seen. Some people choose to see. She'd learned to do both. Margaret Washington chose courage in 3 seconds. But choosing visibility every day after, that's what set her free. We all face those moments. Times when staying silent seems safer. When invisibility feels like protection. When speaking up might cost everything. But here's the truth. Silence doesn't save us. It just makes us easier to erase. This story is a reminder that ordinary people make extraordinary choices every single day. That courage looks like a waitress spilling water. An elderly woman handing out phone numbers. A student standing up to injustice. You have that power too. So be brave. Be visible. Be the person who acts. Because the world doesn't need more invisible people. It needs people who refuse to disappear. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And let me know in the comments. What would you have done with 3 seconds? Remember, you never know how far your courage will ripple. Thanks for watching Jossey Stories. Until next time, stay visible.